Hej! Swedish Terapeut här. Tack så hemskt mycket för kom hit. Thank you for coming. I don't know if that's actually how you say it in Swedish, but I have a lot of words I make up because they seem to make sense. I'd like to show you something. This is our last installment of my mom information. So, my husband's always wondering why I'm picking things up like this, but this is easier to understand and the easiest way for me to explain. Since these videos are made for kids and there's no way you can subscribe on it or make comments, I would like to show you what the human body is all about without showing you something gross like a chicken. Well, chickens aren't gross, but some people can't look at chickens that are not alive. And so there's no reason to gross anyone out. But this is the skin, the first skin. Just like a tree has bark, we have skin, first skin. Then there's a second skin. And I really want everyone to know that this extra skin and this extra stuff that we have, some of that superficial fascia and loose areolar connective tissue is holding on to hormones. And my goodness, we need hormones. And I'm getting older. My body doesn't produce hormones as much. And I have a tendency to gain weight. I also take medication, which makes it much easier to gain weight. That's for another video. I just would like everyone to know. Love yourself. Love your body. Love who you are. Because another person's opinion, honestly, doesn't make you you. Okay? Yeah. Okay. So here's our first skin, our second skin, and then, look at all this. Well, these are different layers of skin from this tree. So it grows from the inside out, and really no different than us. So if I were to pick this up from the forest right after it had been cut, it'd be super heavy because it had so much liquid in it, had so much vetska, had so much, not really water, but it's heavy. Once you can see all these different lines too, and these grains. I mean, it has movement. Beautiful. Once all the water is gone, it's a little bit like beef jerky. Yeah. So this is a nice piece of wood that has been around for a long, long time. And it didn't look like this in the beginning. It was part of a whole tree and it wasn't dried out. And let me show you something about this one. Do you see how this little piece, that little piece right there, that's where a leak is going to happen. It's dry. If it's dry, it doesn't have a good seal. If you don't have a good seal on something like our bottle of water, it's a lot easier to lose integrity. Now, according to the tree, losing integrity means that there's a leak, and then that causes a problem. So please don't dry out. Now it's time to meet my mom. And you're really going to meet her this time. Come with me. It's going to be fun. I got to share my screen. Yeah. So if we share the screen, then you get to see everything I've been working on. So you deserve to know, and this is letter O. So we've gone all the way through the alphabet, all the way to O. So you deserve to know installment O. That was the easiest way for me to do this. And this segment is, again, you deserve to know, my mom, but how to age 20 years in 5 days. Now I can let you know this because I can tell you, if you feel heartbreak, you will feel older quick. And I hope you don't. But I just needed to let you know that the heart does heal. It takes time. It does heal. And if you go listen to really cool music like from Dottie, and the Gigabyte group, that'll help. Listen to some good music. Make yourself happy. Mm-hmm. It's a rhythm. It's a vibration. It feels good. Okay. So dear young people and common folk, you deserve to know. We started talking about my mom on Tuesday, May 18th. And today is the day after Mother's Day in Sweden. So yesterday on Sunday was Mother's Day, and I took a break. I just needed me time and my family time. So our correspondence picks up today on Monday, the 31st of May. And if you remember, we began Tuesday, the 18th, and we defined my mom as an important person and a name. And this was going to upset my friend, Dr. Adrian, because I'm putting a possessive, and mom together as one name, my mom. And here are our installments. We have several different videos that Swedish Tera-pft has put up. And the open letters, video letters, the open access video letters come in 4 installments. So you deserve to know E, my mom, open access video letter. You deserve to meet letter I, my mom. You deserve to know J and K. Those 2 installments are experiments require safety gear. And then this last one, you deserve to know O, how to age 20 years in 5 days. Feel heartbreak. We started to talk about perception, and I would like to let you know perception is priceless. Hang on to your perception. Don't lose it. Don't lose it. Just keep the perception going. This is why we're curious. Do you remember that little redhead that we had earlier, bending down, squatting? Kids do it all the time. Watch a kid. They'll squat and they'll bend down and they'll watch ants for hours. It's fun. So how do we lose perception, and how do we lose our curiosity? How? Okay. So to all young people and common folk, this is Monday the 31st. Oh, I spelled that wrong. It's måndag. It should have an A with a circle over it. That was my mistake. And we're coming from you from a small fictional town called Jättebrasmåla in Sweden. And it is really beautiful today. Beautiful. So we've spoken about my mom, and we've spoken about our human perception system. Woo, look at all that. Here's the 5 common senses, and neuroscientists are kind of playing with the idea that we have up from 22 to 33 different senses, and probably some more that haven't been named. So we have the perception system, and all of these require mucous membranes to be moist, because in the mucous membranes lives very important structures. And if the mucous membranes are dried out, well, then you have beef jerky. We also discussed tensegrity and how tensegrity is nature's architecture. And then BioTensegrity is the tensegrity in the human form of this work of art, or this work of art. And this work of art here, it's done. It's done. So we also briefly dove into integrity, because the word tensegrity and BioTensegrity has a grit in it. And that grit is integrity. So losing integrity for any work of art causes disaster. So Sunday, May 30th, yesterday, I took some time off. I recouped to come back to you today with some cool information that you deserve to know. So we ended our segments. So you deserve to know J and K with experiments require safety gear, and I had on my safety gear, my white lab coat, and my goggles, and my head scarf thing. It, but if there's a tsunami came and hit my mom, and there was absolutely no warning whatsoever. There was no bells and whistles. There was nothing going off. And so let's pick up where we left off and say, oh, and this is where I told you the experiments require safety gear, a letter K. This is not only my heart broke, but my heart sank and broke, all in week 18, which was May 3rd through the 7th. This was the week where my mom was in the emergency room. She went in on the 1st, and then she went to the hospital. So prior to this, as of, well, for a long time, I confirmed Monday, April 19th with her doctor's office. This was her list of medications. And she takes 3,466 pills from packets supplied by a local pharmacy. And for the past 9 years, these have been fairly stable. And especially the ones for her mood and anxiety and her depression medication, because I'm not going to go there with you, but she was in a depression for a while, and it's just not fun. And I'm sorry if you're going through that with anyone that you love and know. It's just not fun. So the pharmacy has helped my mom stay independent by putting together her package of pills. But if we so the thing is, my mom started to complain about some things. This kind of out of body experience of she didn't know what was going on. She's like, what's happening to me? And why was she always so tired? And, you know, as being her daughter, I should have kind of said, oh, maybe something's going on. Yeah. Oh, and I just have to say, we talked about this before, but I'll just reiterate and say again that the 3,466 milligrams of pills that she takes, 1,000 of that is calcium, and 2,000 of that is fish oil, which is really good for the heart and the brain. That's why we like to eat fish, but we don't want to overfish because we want to have a certain number of fish in the sea. So we can get good oils from all sorts of things. So on average, 466 heavy-duty medications that regulate her heart and her mood, and a lot with her gut too. Yeah, so we started talking about allostasis as well. And it's Dr. Peter Sterling wrote a really nice book about allostasis called What the Health? What is health? What is health? And in there, he talks about allostasis' ability to adapt. We might have heard of homeostasis before, and homeo is just the Latin or Greek word for the same, and stasis is kind of a state of. So homeostasis is staying the same and kind of having balance, like log ohm, I suppose, in a way. But allostasis is the ability to adapt. So if this happens with our scale, then how do we come back to this? We want to be able to adapt an allostate. So in that video, I asked you, so how does drying out the membranes that do perception, like the eyes and the ears and the nose, my allergy medicine, which I do need to take because otherwise I can't breathe. But I also have to eat vitamin C because the allergy medicine dries me out, even in my mouth. So, so our eyes, ears, nose, mouth, and skin. So how does it affect someone, and how does it affect? And when I use affect here, that means like mood. And it can also mean cognition. So effect, cause and effect, and then affect, mood. So being my mom's daughter, I dismissed all of her complaints, especially that of constipation, because I was more or less grossed out. My mom has never told me things that she told me, um, that she did with her finger because she was constipated. And and it was way too much information for a daughter to hear from her mother. It was just way too much. And I'm not going to say it. But I should have paid attention. I actually thought that she was fairly healthy for being 80 years old. She went on walks. She took her little rolly cart with her blue basket, and she went around places. She was the one in her particular apartment unit where she lives that was the one that was always walking, and she walked because it helped with her depression and her mood and her anxiety, and she needed to walk, and she ate healthy. She, she always ate healthy my whole life, and we got things from the local store for her. We got oranges and we got prunes, and she had some yummy cookies and ginger snaps, and she had tea that was lemongrass that helped her anxiety there, and she drank lots of water, and doesn't she didn't like soda pop at all, ever. So why are the constipation issues coming up now? And why was it something to do with the COVID vaccine? I'm all for vaccines. I have no problem with vaccines. I just wondered, is this a side effect? Some people are tired. Some people have pain on their shoulder. Some people get sick. But was this something from the COVID vaccine? Or was it her age? But on Monday, May 3rd, we discovered something. And and perhaps all these unexplained falls that she had had in the last 64 days had not been her age, and nor had been the beginning of dementia like some people had discussed. Um, she had a lot of confusion when she went into the emergency room, and the first May 1st and May 2nd, um, of May, and I don't know where it was coming from. But upon learning that her depression medication was altered in mid-February, that puzzle pieces started filling in. And it was like, oh my goodness, what just happened? So she actually had quite a few falls in 2021. Mid-February, her medicine started changing. It was the end of February where she fell, and she broke her, I think it was her left eye socket here in her nose, and she bent her glasses. And then in April, she fell outside when she was walking with her blue cart, and she hit the back of her head on the cement. And then she fell in her bathroom and hit her head on the bathroom wall. But as I said, in mid-February, for 9 years of being on very similar medications, and there was an alteration, and no protective gear was given, and no advanced warning to any of her caregivers or her daughter, that there was a medication change. So her chemistry experiment that she'd been going with for the past 9 years, the mood enhancing drugs were set up by this master psychiatrist in 2012, which I absolutely adore that man because he brought my mom back to me. So a couple times actually with electric shock therapy, and he put her on this nice cocktail, and it worked, and she was good. Not every day was she happy, but she wanted things. She needed things. Let's see. But due to no one's fault at all, there was a distribution issue with one of her pharmaceutical drugs. And you know what? I understand COVID did a lot of things to a lot of people, and it disrupted a lot of chains of how things interact. But in saying that, I also have to say that one of the medicines that she had been taking for a while in the morning and afternoon, Cerazone, was discontinued, and something else was added at the hour of sleep, which is abbreviated HS. And therefore, she was getting mirtazapine, venlafaxine, and Seroquel, all at night at bedtime. So, why was she falling now more so than other times? Because you can see here, my mom had fallen before, and this particular one, she was bending over to pick up a rock, and that was in May of 2017, and she broke her wrist. And the bending over, because her integrity probably on the inside wasn't the best, her body can't regulate her blood pressure so well, so her allostasis is a bit off. So as soon as she bent over, lights went out and dizzy, and there she goes. But she knew it was happening. The whole time it was going on, she's like, I'm falling. I'm falling. I'm going to put my hand out to, to, to help me. And then her hand and wrist said, dunk. And she's a pretty strong lady. She got over that. She did. Yeah. Yeah. So now she's falling and she's unaware of why. And it's difficult for her to poop. And she's confused, but she's still allowed to do her normal routine and dose her own medications. But this is where her routine was about to change because now she's in the hospital. And the CT scans of her head showed that, ordered on April 30th, when she went into the emergency room, the hospital doctor ordered it, and it showed that she was a normal woman of a normal age, and it showed that there was ischemic changes, which means blood vessel changes. But those were normal for her age, and there was a few places in her brain where it had been bleeding, but nothing that caused any red flags. And the CT scan also ruled out that she'd had a stroke, which is all good because modern medicine is pretty cool that you can take a picture and you can see all of that. Just saying. And all of her blood work, her electrolytes and her blood work and her enzymes and all the other stuff came back as within a normal range. So they were log them. So what's happening? And they also checked for urinary tract infection, which an older woman can obviously have, and then that can cause some dizziness and cause her to fall, which has happened to my mom before. And they tested it twice just to see if they were wrong the first time. And nothing, no urinary tract infection. Now that we know there's been a change in medicine, if we start moving backwards just a little bit, and National Institute of Arthritis and Musculoskeletal and Skin Diseases has something on their website about Sjogren's syndrome. And another time we'll talk about Sjogren's syndrome. Sjogren, Sjogren. Sjö is lake, and gren is branch. So it's lake branch or branch of a lake. That's a Swedish name. And the man, Sjögren, was Swedish that came up with that syndrome. And I just have to say, years ago, when he was doing his dissertation and doctoral work, he was at the University of Karolinska Institute. And there was a patient that had come in with some strange eye dryness and skin dryness. And he didn't know much about it. So he put together a few people. And he found out, he named it. And he wrote his dissertation about it. But he didn't even get a doctorate for it because they said no one wants to know this. But now we all know Sjögren's syndrome. Well, a lot of people do. And medicines are used to treat Sjögren's, and as it was said in the National Institute of Arthritis and Musculoskeletal Disease website, and you can go on the archive form, July 2016. Some medicines can cause eye and mouth dryness, and if you're taking one of the drugs listed below, ask your doctor whether you should stop. Because again, you have to work with a doctor. There's no reason for any of this information to be construed and thought of as being a recommendation for you. I'm telling you about my mom. And if you ever are going to stop any medication, work with your doctor. That's what they're there for. They're good people. But in the same respect, medicines do dry us out. There are things that we can do to help. And this is why I want doctors to also listen to this. You should know, because doctors, can you start helping people eat the vitamin C's and to rehydrate themselves? Not with just electrolytes. Go back to reading about the mechanical transduction and the mechanical pressure and BioTensegrity. Start there, please. So I just have to let you guys know the chemistry set blew up. And this is where I aged 20 years in 5 days, because all the talk of she needs memory care, she's starting with dementia. And the kicker of it is, there's no win-win for my mom, because she's going in for some help, but is she ever going to get back to her apartment? And still to this day, this was the first part of May, she's not in her apartment. I don't know if she'll go back. But it was just last night I got the best Mother's Day, Daughter's Day gift ever. I had a 37-minute conversation with my mom, not the woman that has been in my mom's body, but actually my own mom. 37 minutes, and it was pure heaven. I'm sorry for anyone that has lost somebody and you can't have those conversations. I get how much it hurts. So I will just say medication can enhance and it can also impair. And this is where some medications don't really work together. So I have a strong sensation. I don't have a medical degree. I've studied massage therapy for almost 20 years. I know that there are reasons for people to have discomfort and pain. The more that I learn, the more I ask questions. And I will say, and I'll go out on a limb, and I will say the very fabric of perception needs hydration. If we dehydrate tissues, something will give. The integrity will give. And if there's no integrity, there's no BioTensegrity. So my mom doesn't necessarily have a win-win, because all of her chemistry set, stopping one of the medications, has a ripple effect. And if you go and you type on your own Merzpan into WebMD or RxList or Wikipedia, the side effects of this particular drug, there's a reason that the drug is given. I'm not saying there's not. There's a good reason this is given. But in combination with the venlafaxine, it is called California rocket fuel, which means the serotonin, those two work together and it just helps anybody with a serotonin deficit get right up there, which is really important for somebody that is serotonin deficits. Because if you're serotonin deficit, you don't feel like you and you don't feel good. So I get why these two would be paired together. In my mom's case, they were paired together all at night. And then Merzpan with another drug that my mom was taking causes severe joint pain. Okay. So now we go back to the things about confusion and being tired and unsteady and loss of coordination and constipation and dry mouth and inflammation of the sinus tissues. Oh my goodness. Do we talk about the nose before? The chemostasis? We need to be able to allostate. And even if you can't smell, chemostasis still works. So you can detect wasabi and prickly ash and the hot peppers, because it's important for your body to protect you. And that's what perception is all about. So my mom, I think, is innocent. I know she's only one of 79 billion people, but she is my mom. So if we can begin to think in a different direction, can we come up with better decisions? And if we come up with better decisions, maybe we'll find new solutions to problems. This is not just about health. This is about the environment. This is about Earth. This is about you. This is about me. This is to all the young people out there, because you're going to grow up and you're going to be the doctors and the scientists and the business people for tomorrow. That's why I'm writing you. Let us think in a different direction and keep asking questions. Here's my awkward thinking from Swedish Tera-pft. We affectionately called the first skin and the second skin organ of sense. Here's our first skin, and then our second skin, and then our third skin. So our second skin and third skin, we called it the organ of sense. And it was to make it easier. So we didn't have to say proprioception or interoception or tactile stimulation or haptic perception, or the naming of all the vibratory membranes that happen where our sensory neurons live and our mechanoreceptors and our nerve endings and our neurons. Sensory neurons are everywhere, and they love to live in the mucous membranes. So as we discussed, a child learns perception through trial and error. The child learns to walk. The child learns to grab things and hold on to cups. The child learns to talk in several different languages, maybe. And it all happens through perception. So if we lose perception, we lose some abilities. And I'm wondering, had my mom been able to keep her organ of sense adaptable, would she have needed all the pharmaceutical help to do the adaptation and the allostasis? Would she have been able to hang on to her determination that she is that in spades? Her will, her want, her needs, her curiosity, her hepate. So had my mom not dried out like beef jerky, Or this wonderful piece of wood that's easy to pull apart now, unfortunately. Had my mom not aged and dried out, had she just aged and stayed hydrated, would we need all this laboratory chemistry? And would she have been able to adapt on her own? I'm going to stress here, I'm never going to point a finger at anybody, because everyone that has worked with my mom, um, there's no blame. And I live in a society where we like to point fingers, and I'm tired of it. Every medical person out there involved in my mom's care has wished her well and would love to do no harm. That's what medicine is all about. I would just like to find out if medicine can start working in this logo moderation rather than 466 milligrams of medicine that allostates people. Again, there's no fault on any caregiver that has worked with my mom. They do work hard every day to provide people care. And it is our job to take care of our bodies, not their job to take care of our bodies. Our job. So it is not easy to make a decision if all the facts have not been put together, or if there's puzzle pieces that are missing because it's not tensegral, has not the same tensegrity. So come and look at my beautiful mom. Young people and common folk, you deserve to know. This is my beautiful mom. New discoveries happen every day in science. You may just be one of the new scientists out there that make a discovery that can help individuals not dry out. Let us look to the senses and our organ of body sense, please, because I think those are where the solutions lie. This is my mom and my aunt with logom scales on either side, because definitely these two ladies balance each other out. My mom is beautiful. You can see where her wrist in 2017 was broken. When she fell, she's like, I'm not having surgery. No more surgeries. This lady has had quite a few medical interventions. And, I had to share this tidbit of information, but I was riding the school bus and I was just being picked up from my house, and Perkins put me in my assigned seat because I had an assigned seat. Apparently I was annoying. And I came to a realization that my mom was beautiful, and unlike any other beauty, and not like the model kind of beauty, but I just knew she was a beautiful person, and she was my mom. She is a work of art, and you are a work of art. And it's important that we take care of these works of art. So you see my mom here. Thinking of her still gives me joy, and it still makes my heart feel good. I know one day she's going to pass away, but I have a lot of her in me. So there's my beautiful mom and her wonderful sister, who's still a redhead, because my mom used to be a redhead. I wish you a wonderful day. Thank you very much for coming here. You deserve to know. Do not dry out perception. Dices, hej tack så hemskt mycket för kom hit. And I will end with feel more so you can live better. And take care of the only body that you have. And take care of our earth too, please, because we only have one body and we only have one earth. Don't dry out.